18,000 children go missing in the UK every year. So why talk about this one? Charlene is presumed dead, but no body has ever been found, and no one has been brought to justice for her disappearance. This might not be the first missing person case you've heard of, but I bet it's one of the most disturbing ones you'll ever hear. Hi, I'm Crime Panda, and I'm here to read you to sleep. Get cozy, turn down the lights, and let me take you into the world of true crime. But be warned, some stories don't let you sleep. Charlene Elizabeth Carolyn Downs was just 14 years old. She smiles in her school photograph, a picture of childlike innocence. She lived with her family in her hometown of Blackpool, a seaside town in northwest England. Growing up there could be a vibrant experience, with the excitement of the city's famous attractions like the Pleasure Beach and the Tower. But it also had its darker side, limited job opportunities and social issues in certain areas. Charlene, a vulnerable teenager from a troubled background, lived with her parents, her brother, and 2 sisters. She attended St. George's School, like many other teenagers in the area. Though described in court as happy and well, she had experienced a chaotic lifestyle. After being expelled from school, her life took a turn. She was often seen around Blackpool's central promenade. It was later revealed that predators lurked in the seaside town's arcades and takeaways, exploiting children with offers of burgers, cigarettes, alcohol, and the promise of affection. On Saturday, November 1st, 2003, Charlene woke up and started her day as usual. After her morning routine, she went to a friend's house. Later, she and her friend met up with another one of Charlene's friends, with whom she made plans for later that day. She returned home around midday and told her mother she planned to go back out around tea time with her sister, Becky. At about 5:30 p.m., Charlene and Becky left the house. Later that night, their mother, Karen, was handing out flyers for work when she saw Charlene and Becky out on the street. The girls were having fun, grabbing fast food at McDonald's and enjoying their weekend. Karen asked her daughters about their plans for the rest of the evening. Becky said she was going straight home, while Charlene planned to meet up with more friends later. She agreed to return home by 10 p.m. She then met up with her friends Natalie and Natasha. When Karen kissed her daughter goodbye that day, she had no idea that her life would never be the same again. She watched as Charlene and her friends walked off toward the Winter Gardens. It was the last time she would see her daughter alive. Karen came home from work shortly after 10 p.m., expecting to find Charlene there. Instead, she was met at the door by her husband, Robert, who told her Charlene hadn't come home yet. At first, they didn't panic. Charlene had started rebelling in the months before her disappearance and was known to stay out late. That's why they had agreed on a 10 p.m. curfew, to try to find some kind of compromise. Disappointed but not yet worried, they tried calling her phone but got no answer. Robert took his bike and rode around the streets, hoping to find Charlene. But she was nowhere to be seen. That night, Karen and Robert went to bed not knowing where their daughter was. Meanwhile, Natalie and Natasha had gone home at around 9:30 p.m., right after parting ways with Charlene. When Karen contacted the police 2 days later, she was told she had to wait another 24 hours before she could officially report her daughter missing. Let that sink in. There's absolutely no sign of your 14-year-old daughter for days, and this is the response you get from the police. So it took another 24 hours before Charlene was officially reported missing. This is Blackpool's North Promenade, where Charlene was last seen in November 2003. In 2015, detectives finally released the only CCTV footage of her on the day she vanished. The video shows Charlene with her sister Rebecca on Bank Hay Street in Blackpool Town Centre at 3:25 p.m., walking toward the Coral Island Amusement Arcade. 2 years later, more footage was released by the police. It shows Charlene in Blackpool Town Centre later that same evening. She was wearing the same clothes she vanished in, black jeans with a gold eagle design on the front, a black jumper with a white diamond pattern, and black boots. Even though the police searched for Charlene, it was as if she had vanished into thin air. No trace, no sign, no sightings, nothing. Hours turned into days, days turned into weeks, weeks became months, and still no progress. There were a few leads here and there, but they led nowhere. As in many missing children cases, the police looked into the family, as it's not uncommon for such tragedies to involve someone close. They searched the house, questioned friends and relatives, yet nothing. Then, authorities assumed Charlene had run away. With that, the investigation slowed down, local news coverage remained minimal, and Charlene's case quietly drifted towards becoming a cold case. Months passed without answers. Then months turned into years. For 3 long, painful years, her family was caught between hope and despair. And then, one day, Karen and Robert received a call from the police. They were asked to come in for a meeting. There had been a new development. That day, Charlene's case was no longer a missing person investigation. It was now a murder inquiry. And with that came an arrest. Murdered? What do you mean murdered? Where is she? Where's her body? If she was murdered, where is she? Karen was in shock. She later recalled how she had dropped her coffee onto her lap, but felt nothing. The pain in her heart was far greater than anything physical. The first man arrested was a 29-year-old, the owner of Funny Boys, a fast food outlet in Blackpool. A second man was accused of disposing of her body. At that time, Charlene's family knew little about the accusations. They didn't know what these men had done to their daughter, only that they were being accused of murdering her. They found out a week later, through the newspaper. The prosecution alleged that Charlene's body had been cut up and used as kebab meat, served from the fast food restaurant. Yes, you heard that right. The police had leaked this horrifying claim to the press before informing Charlene's own family. Imagine not hearing this directly from the authorities, but instead reading it in the news. That's how Karen and Robert found out what might have happened to their daughter. Absolutely horrific. So, to be clear, the police's theory was that Charlene had been murdered, dismembered, ground up, and served as food at a local takeaway. During the trial, taped conversations were played to the jury. In one recording, a man was allegedly heard saying, "I killed her. I killed a girl. I was just angry." His co-accused was recorded saying, "There is nothing left of her. She was here. She died here. There really is nothing." But doubts soon arose about the accuracy of the transcripts. The case collapsed. And just like that, the men were released back into society. Charlene's case, however, shed light on something even more disturbing. It exposed Blackpool's dark underbelly, a town where pedophiles roamed freely. Investigators discovered that employees from 11 different takeaway shops had been grooming young girls, giving them free food, cigarettes, and alcohol in exchange for sex. Charlene was just one of many victims. She had been involved in this cycle of exploitation for at least a year before she disappeared. Karen Downs remains convinced that the 2 men charged, but never convicted, were responsible for Charlene's death. She has said, "I have never had any doubts in my mind. It was them. When I heard those tapes, I had no doubt what they were saying. I heard enough to incriminate them." Charlene's body has never been found, and now, nearly 20 years later, police are still no closer to solving her murder. What do you think happened to Charlene? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this story important, please consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.